Are you 50 and older, like me, and feeling a little concerned or wondering what comes next? You've spent your life building careers, raising families, achieving goals, celebrating successes, doing all these things for yourself, or mainly for others, and things surrounding you. Today, we step boldly into a new chapter of our lives. For me, today I declare to the world and to myself, it is my turn.
Welcome to Aging Fearlessly, the podcast that is here to let you know that your best years are still ahead. I'm your host, Dr. Beverly Gordon.
And I'm David Gordon, and we're on a mission to redefine what aging means.
It's time to add life to our years, not just years to our life.
Think of this as a group exploration into the future with confidence and purpose. This is our first episode, and we hope that you'll join us in this and the others.
Thank you for joining us on this amazing journey. We want to share our experiences, observations, ideas, and data about aging with the hope that we can encourage others to approach aging with a positive yet realistic view. We believe that we can make these the best years of our life.
The World Health Organization predicts by the year 2030, 1 in 6 individuals globally will be 60 and older, with a population of about 1.4 billion. Only a few years ago, though, the population of people aged 60 and older were only 1 in 10. By 2050, the same WHO predicts that the population of us 60 and older will double to 2.1 billion. Statistics are showing that the world is undergoing what they call a longevity revolution, with the population of seniors growing at an extremely fast rate. The trend of living longer is growing, and people are not only living longer, but they're living healthier for some reason.
The World Health Organization says that the main reason for this increase in longevity is actually improved public health and sanitation. Improved diagnostic procedures, surgical techniques, vaccinations, and antibiotics have all contributed to people living longer. Furthermore, improved access to healthcare has vastly improved the quality of life for older people. Not only are people living longer, but they are remaining active and involved in their families and communities. Old age is often associated with frailty, urinary incontinence, falls, delirium, and bed sores. But many older folks are actually living vibrant, active lives. In fact, today's 70 often looks like yesterday's 60. Aging involves a gradual decrease in physical and mental capacity, but the process is different for each person. Often, older people who have a supportive social environment experience good quality of life well into their 90s. Old age can even be an opportunity to pursue new interests or return to interests and passions that we gave up because we did not have enough time earlier. Increased longevity provides us with the opportunity to achieve more and enjoy more.
So, this aging thing caught up with me by surprise. There I was being all middle aged, doing middle aged things that I thought, ignoring AARP invitations, running track and field with my church. And on this particular morning, it was a normal morning. I was going to work, and I stopped at Dunkin' Donut to get my usual hot chocolate and cinnamon raisin bagel with veggie cream cheese. That's my usual stuff. So I made my order, and as I was about to check out, the clerk, which was very nice, very personable, she said, "Oh, okay, so let me check you out." And she said, "Oh, and I'll give you your senior discount." And that was that was a blow to my ego. It was a blow to my sense of reality. Senior discount for me? Who does this woman think she is, giving me a senior discount? I was upset. I was taken aback. I was insulted. And, but anyway, I tried not to show it. But she realized that I was kind of uncomfortable with her offer. And so she said the next worst thing. She said, "You're about my age, aren't you?" Insult to injury. I looked at her and I've said, "I am like you, your age." But I didn't say anything. So I graciously took my senior discount. I paid. I went out and with my bagel and my hot chocolate. So I was still upset. When I got to the car, I pulled on the mirror and looked at myself and remembered what she looked like. And to my surprise, I looked like about her age. And then I thought back and I calculated my birthday from to the present year. And I realized that I was not middle aged anymore. I was like older. So that was my brutal push into the reality of being a senior. What was your experience?
I don't think I had a moment of realization. For me, it was more of a gradual process. The physical changes, the graying hair, joint pains, medical issues, most of which I really disregarded. But then I noticed that more strangers were calling me ma'am. And then my children had milestone birthdays that I could not ignore. The children at church were no longer babies. They were getting married and having babies. Children that I watched grow up were now in their 40s and some of them early 50s. There was no denying it. I was an older woman. I am an older woman. I would sometimes refer to a person as an older man or an older woman. And then I would find out that either I'm older than that person or I'm only 2 or 3 years younger. So I had to change my view of myself. I find, though, that I don't really mind being an older woman. I think I've earned it. And I am grateful for my intact cognition, my energy, and my vitality. Eric Erikson, famous developmental psychologist, described the task of old age as achieving integrity versus despair. This time, age 65 and above, is when we look back, reflecting on our life. Success at this stage of life results in feelings of wisdom and pride in our accomplishments. The desired outcome is to avoid regret, bitterness, or despair. In our future conversations, we will explore the various pathways to success because there is no one path to achieving integrity versus despair. As everyone is different, so the life path will look different for each person. But the goal is to feel satisfaction and pride in a life that has been well lived. Old age is a time for consolidating the acquired knowledge and experience into a wisdom that helps to guide the next generation and produces a meaningful legacy.
Yeah, I believe that our experiences shape our individual perspective and help us to develop creative problem solving skills that benefit us in our senior years. As Socrates once said, an under examined life is not worth living. Are we conscious of these abilities? How do we use them to, in this stage of our lives, to benefit ourselves and to benefit others? By reflecting on our accumulated wisdom, we can intentionally draw upon these insights to enrich not only our lives, but to enrich the life of others. When we get to a certain age, and sometimes, depending on the environment that we find ourselves in, we can find it a little bit daunting to figure out how we join conversations or we participate in making decisions. We can sometimes feel, as we get older, outdated and even intimidated as what they call we become old heads. Yet we can embrace the fullness of our experiences. We gain courage to engage, knowing that the contributions that we make are grounded in a lifetime of learning and experiences and self examination. We have to be careful, though, that we don't press too hard to force our opinions on others by disrespecting the opinions of those who are younger. I have gotten to a point where I am becoming more and more comfortable with myself and the person who I have become and the person who I am becoming. I am no longer concerned with the expectations of society, at least not that much. I am confident in my own self that I have value and that my assets are worthy and I determine the place I choose where I apply my assets and my abilities, and I decide where they are appropriate and where they are appreciated. So you may be approaching retirement, postponing retirement, in retirement, or for some of us, we're previously retired. Wherever you are, we plan to address issues that affect your life, our lives. Our topics will promote resilience, adaptability, optimism, vitality. We plan to identify and develop tools and skills and strategies for making these years the best years, the most joyful years, the most productive years, the most fulfilling years. This will be a weekly podcast, and we'll discuss topics relevant to seniors. That is people 50 and older, because this is a threshold that has been set by AARP. And we invite you to join us on this journey with passion, energy, hope, and joy. Please join us.
Let's take a look at some of the topics that we will address. Identity. Identity formation is really a lifelong process. My mindset has evolved, and I am now viewing aging as a continued journey of self-discovery. Increased longevity provides us with the opportunity to achieve more and enjoy more. I've always been an introspective person, but as I get older, I am becoming even more introspective. I am aware of consciously seeking purpose and meaning. I have a strong sense of purpose, and I'm all about maintaining a reason to get up every day. I'm not feverishly searching for things to do, just contentedly applying the gifts and talents with which God has blessed me. I'm experiencing real satisfaction from doing the things that I do. My identity is clear to me. It is not defined by circumstances or popular opinion. I am internally motivated and happy with the woman that I have become. Retirement can be a turning point that either brings a sigh of relief or a time of identity crisis. You no longer have a badge or wear the uniform. You have no desk in the office or office in the building. For years, these things helped to define you. Now you don't have them anymore. Can you find new purpose through volunteering, mentoring, or nurturing family connections? Most of us had a career or a livelihood for the most part defined us. The teacher, the nurse, the mechanic, or the housewife. There was something that we did every day that we will not be doing anymore when we retire. So now, who are you? Do you identify yourself by what you used to be Or will you choose different roles and identities? It is very possible to shed the past with its status and image and be comfortable in new roles. Aging fearlessly is about taking control of our years and intentionally making the very best of it. We will also talk about parenting adult children. As we age, our relationship with our children take on new dimensions. Our conversations with them become adult to adult exchanges. I'm excited to see the men that my two sons have become. It gives me a sense of satisfaction to know that I had something to do with the development of their core values. I enjoy our conversations and interactions. As a parent of adult children, I realize that my children respect my opinions and my wisdom. I cherish this mature relationship and treat my sons with respect while remaining available to support and advice as needed.
Yeah. Another topic that we are going to take on are the challenges when we get to our age. They do say that age comes with wisdom. They also say that wisdom is like a fine wine, it gets better with age. Generally speaking, I do agree with these beliefs. When it comes to life experience, emotional intelligence, empathy, compassion, we do get better with aging. But on the other hand, the truth is that aging comes with a ton load of challenges because at this stage of our lives, this life cycle, this part of our life cycle, we're either leveling off, and that I'm saying leveling off just to be very generous, or we're getting to a downward slide. In many aspects of our existence, trends towards increased difficulty and steady decline. We can do things, though, to slow down that decline and make it as gradual as possible. I believe that lifestyle changes and a few additional adjustments can retard many of these challenges. And I hope that we will have these discussions that will help us to level off the decline. Another challenge, another topic that we'll discuss as a challenge is finances. There will be financial challenges, or there might be financial challenges when we get older. Questions like, will you outlive your life savings? Will you be able to cover healthcare costs? Uh, will your fixed income match inflation and the increase in cost of living? Will your housing continue to be affordable with taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance? Then another challenge can come with marriage. And let me explain. Not all marriages are perfect. And many of us have stayed together because of the children. But now the children are gone. You're retired, and now you're thinking, if my marriage was not that great, do I want to stay with this person for the rest of my life? Or do I choose happiness and move on? And with this contemplation, with this decision comes the other difficulty, the other challenge. Do I want to live alone? Can I afford leaving one income or doing with living off one income? So, yes, as we get older, there are serious challenges in so many different areas. And I don't promise that we'll have answers to everything, but we'll discuss it. And in a lot of ways, your contribution is going to be vital to our dialogue. We're going to see what has worked, what decisions some have made, and what has worked for you, what mistakes some have made, with regards to financing and marriages. And so we'll discuss this topic also.
Mental health is something that is important at all stages of our life cycle. And it is vitally important during old age. Issues, so we will discuss mental health issues as it relates to getting older. Issues like social connectedness. We know that human beings were designed to be social creatures. And often loneliness plays a big factor in the lives of older people. And so, how does one remain socially connected? And how does one facilitate the quality of life that is necessary to maintain good mental health through social connectedness? We'll talk about depression and anxiety. Depression and anxiety are two of the most common mental health disorders, actually at most stages of life, but it becomes particularly relevant in old age. Memory and cognition. It is often expected that as you get older, your memory and cognition will actually decrease. What can you do to slow that process down? And how do you prepare for that stage of your life? Sexuality. We'll talk about sexuality in old age because often that is an area that's overlooked, but it is also a very relevant area as changes do take place during old age that can affect the quality of life. We'll also discuss medical issues. Common health problems among the elderly include cardiac health, hypertension, stroke, diabetes, obesity. Lifestyle matters. Taking care of our health matters. Healthcare cost is a great concern for most individuals in our society at this time. And so we'll talk about how to plan. We'll talk about some of the resources that are available that often people do not even realize that they have these resources available to them and how to access these resources. We will also address the issue of aging for individuals who are migrants. So, migration affects our lives. No matter at what stage of our lives that we migrate, it changes the processes of our development, our worldview, and how we adjust to change. So, the individual who is aging in a society different from the one in which they were born actually has different challenges to face than the person who is aging in the society where they were born. In my book, Native Foreigner, I talk about some of the changes, some of the adjustments that people make when they migrate. These changes become particularly relevant as we get older and as we have to make adjustments to things like racism, cultural perspectives, ageism, nostalgia. Should I return home in my old age, or should I stay in this country that I have made my home? Should I return home or should I age in place? Will I face challenges of being a native foreigner? We'll talk about those things. We'll also talk about migration challenges related to medical issues.
Our journey together on this Aging Fearlessly podcast will take us into discussions on how our outlook and perspectives have changed as we get older. Some individuals are becoming more anxious as we get older. Some are becoming downright miserable the older they get, and you don't want them around you. I have a philosophy on this. Miserable old people didn't become like that overnight. It started much earlier in their life cycle when they were being cantankerous, grouchy, and peevish middle aged adults. At the same time, on the other hand, sweet, kind, and gentle old people didn't become like that overnight either. It started many years ago when they were adults being pleasant and accommodating and nurturing. We are actually training ourselves to become who we will be. For me, though, I am becoming calmer. And this is intentional for me. I have control over how I see the world. I know that my perspectives of the world and my attitude towards the world will affect the world's attitude towards me. My attitude determines the attitude of others towards me. At some point, we have to come to the realization that we're no longer able to change many of our external circumstances. And then when we come to that realization, we are now challenged to adjust and to change ourselves.
Part of the maturing perspective is also the ability to accept others as they are. The ability to accept ourselves without comparison to others or fear of being different. The ability to resolve conflicts. The ability to be at peace with ourselves amidst chaos. And certainly we live in a chaotic environment in this present time. But depending on our philosophy of life or worldview or outlook, will determine the level at which we're able to experience peace and confidence, even amidst chaos. During this time of aging is an opportunity to deepen our understanding of spiritual matters. And it is these spiritual matters that tend to give us the grounding that allow us to be at peace during a time of chaos. Old age is also a time, and I think I mentioned this before, old age is a time when loneliness can become a part of our experience, especially since it is during this time that we often experience the death of peers. It's very disturbing to hear that someone died and then realize that person is your age or within that age group. And so it raises the existential question of our own mortality. Another area of that sometimes produces a feeling of loneliness or otherness is the matter of technology. Technology is changing at such a rapid pace, and even the language of technology is sometimes challenging for older people to maneuver in this at this time. We will talk about those things.
Yeah. We also are going to talk about purposeful living, how we can determine how our lives will be. As we get older, our health and, like we mentioned before, our cognition are expected to decline. The truth is that these trajectories are not inevitable. Research shows that lifestyle adjustment can significantly improve medical and physical resilience. Regular physical activity and targeted nutrition have been shown to reduce the cognitive decline, and we can even improve our mental and physical functions beyond our years to match even someone who is years younger. We'll talk about exercising. At this point, we don't run anymore. We walk because it's kinder on our joints. We take on exercises like Tai Chi, which is a Chinese exercise that have been well established for older folks. We have diets like the Mediterranean diet that includes a lot of vegetables, even though you can eat pretty much what you eat regularly, but you just had some much more vegetables and fruits. So we'll talk about exercise, we'll talk about nutrition and see how those things can and adjust the trajectory of decline over the years.
And of course, we'll address physical changes, the hair, graying hair. What do we do with it? Why do we do the things that we do? Skin changes, mobility changes. We'll talk about hearing and vision. And we'll also address sleep, which is such a very important component of life at all stages. But there's some changes that take place as we get older, and how we adjust to it and the lifestyle changes that we make can make a huge difference.
Yeah. And we'll also talk about our legacy. Many of us have had lifelong dreams that are still not realized. There are passions that we have had that still burns because they have not been satisfied. And because we have passed through this, we're passing through this aging process, many of us have resigned ourselves and given up on some of these things, and we definitely should. I'll never be a great soccer player anymore. I can't even run at top speed from one goalpost to the other goalpost. And then again, at my age, what is top speed? Because I do not want to fall anymore because broken bones take longer to heal, when you get older. But yeah, I have given up on some of my lifelong dreams. There are some things that I can't do and will never do anymore. But still, what do I do with my passions that still burn within me? I can pass on my dreams to others, to my children, to my grandchildren, to my nieces, nephews, cousin, or to the kid in the neighborhood. I can pass my dream on. I can be a mentor to younger folks. I can be a motivator. I can be a cheerleader. There are things that I can still do regarding the passions that still burn in me. So we're still talking about legacy. As we transition from memorializing those unrealized dreams, we can move towards solidifying our legacy. Building a legacy is not impossible for ordinary people. It does not require wealth. We build our legacy through intentional daily habits that shape how other people perceive our interaction with them over time. That is legacy. We can create legacy right here and now within our own sphere of influence, within our home. We can create legacy within our family. We can create legacy at work, in our community. And so at this point in our lives, when we have moved away from the regular workforce, from the larger interaction, I think of what legacy I will leave on this earth.
And as we talk about leaving legacy on this earth, of course, as we navigate old age, death and dying is an inevitable subject that arises. And we will address that. We will talk about loss. Loss can come in various ways, but we will specifically address loss through death and dying. We'll talk about grief, the grief process, and what it looks like for different individuals from different cultures, men, women, different perspectives. And we'll talk about actually the practical concerns related to death and dying. Death and dying is an expensive project. And so we will talk about the resources that are available and some of the practical things that we need to take care of to ensure that we leave this life with as little complication as possible. And even as part of our legacy for those that we leave behind, that they're able to manage and navigate that aspect of our lives.
We'll also talk about regrets. As we get older, we start to count the should have, the could have, and the would have. And we have time to reflect on our mistakes, the mistakes that we have made over the years. I I do have regrets. I taught my sons and I taught many people to play the guitar. And now I talk to some friends who I even taught to play the guitar. And they ask in our conversation, so what are you doing now? What are you playing? Where are you? And they tell me, oh, I'm playing these blues chords and all this kind of stuff. And the truth is that because I have not practiced consistently, my sons have gotten better on the guitar and the bass than me. So many of my friends have gotten better playing the guitar more than me. And I love playing the guitar so much. And one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't practice over the years so that at this point in my life, I can be a better player of the guitar. I have another regret. So years ago, me and my friend Claude went to martial arts, started to go martial arts school. We went to Kung Fu school and we went to Taekwondo. And we started off together, training together. And I looked at a recent newspaper article and I saw Claude is a multiple degree black belt. He's taken his students to world competition. Claude is a black belt and a taekwondo expert. We started together, but I never continued. And one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't continue to train and to do martial arts because now I would be able to walk around the neighborhood beating up people. I can't. So I have so many regrets. But the truth is that we can't dwell on the past. What has happened in the past is gone, and now we need to focus on the actions that we can take to create a better present and a golden future. Lucille Ball once said, I'd rather regret the things that I have done than regret the things that I haven't done. The Bible also speaks about forgetting the things which are in the past and straining towards what is ahead. I do have frequent moments of retrospection, but I refuse to moan over the mistakes that I have made. Instead, I plan to use my past experience as learning tools for the future. Think back. Have you learned anything from your mistakes? I certainly have.
Yes, indeed. And as we talk about looking back and regrets, I think about relationships, relationships from the past. Some of our relationships have lasted a lifetime, and that's wonderful. But there are some relationships that we have let die that should possibly have been kept alive. And then there are relationships that we may even regret having been a part of. But again, as you said, no regrets, only lessons learned. So we'll talk about relationships. We'll talk about relationships of the past, relationships in our present, and relationships in our future. Close relationships, distant relationships that we should have let go of, relationships that we will let go of, and we'll see where that takes us.
Yeah.
Please plan to join us in the journey together as we face the process of aging without fear, with confidence and courage.
So please hit the like button. Please share with your friends. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and look for us on all the various social media platforms. We plan to build a community of people over 50 and older, living life to its fullest potential. See you in the next episode.
Until next time.